Okay, hey, welcome everybody. It is 7 o'clock Wednesday night, time for Sci-Fi Distilled, and it is our Halloween month special episodes where we are this month we are doing, or this week I should say, we are doing our some of our favorite vampire movies and TV shows. Uh, I'll preface this by saying we know we missed a ton.
Oh God, yes.
We couldn't do them all. There were so many good ones.
Yes.
So feel free in the comments to put what you guys like, especially if we miss something.
Yes, we both have very long honorable mention lists.
Yeah, we have a fairly long one, and even that doesn't cover, how many other great ones are out there. But we had to narrow it down to what we liked. So this is what we liked, not necessarily what's the best or anything like that. So, but before we get into that, I think we should probably have some news.
We have just a little bit. Well, we've got some news coming out of New York City Comic Con this week. Before that, the world has lost Drew Struzan. Is it Struzan? If you do not know that name, you absolutely, positively, most certainly know his movie posters. Drew was an American artist, illustrator, and cover designer. He's known for over 150 film posters. I guarantee you know these posters: Shawshank Redemption, Blade Runner, E.T., Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, Harry Potter, whole Star Wars series, and a ton of Trek stuff, all the pop culture stuff. He passed on the 13th at the age of 78. So New York City Comic Con was this past weekend, and all kinds of stuff going on there. So here's what we know. Star Trek, for some reason, chose to use this con to introduce us to Starfleet Academy. They dropped a trailer and some other surprises at their panel. I can drop the trailer link in the chat if you guys haven't seen it already. It
prepare to be underwhelmed.
Yeah, Riz, I was gonna say, I don't know. I mean, Paul Giamatti looks good. Like he's in full prosthetic makeup.
I love Holly Hunter and I love Paul Giamatti. I don't see Holly Hunter in this role, much like I didn't see Carol Kane. And I was right. I still think that character's terrible on Strange New Worlds. Again, that's not anything against Carol Kane. It's just just doesn't fit to me at all. And I don't see Holly Hunter fitting in this role either. Paul Giamatti, I'm sure, will play a very good bad guy.
He's playing a bad guy. I'm sure he'll do a great job at it.
Yeah,
the only moment in this trailer that I was kind of got a little giggle at was the kid was like, "Why does everything have to be a full-on lesson in this place?" And Holly Hunter's like, "Because it's a school."
It's a school.
Okay,
but it's Starfleet Academy, but it's not at Starfleet Academy.
No,
it's on a ship.
It's not San Francisco.
It's in a ship or orbit or some kind of space station or something. It's like, and then the other one which I pointed out to you was the female Jem'Hadar.
Oh yeah, the female Jem'Hadar. Like you guys, those
made me go give me one of these things because, as if any of you guys know DS9 and that whole series, there were no female Jem'Hadar.
They were all male.
They were all male.
They were basically decanted. They weren't naturally reproduced.
Yes, they were a genetically engineered race. So, why there would be a female? Why there would be any even left around? I mean, I suppose they'll try to. It's 900 years. They did some genetic manipulation so that they could breed or some crap as a. I'm sure they're going to come up with something.
Oh yeah, they're going to retcon it just like they retconned the Gorn.
I mean, it's not going to say the retcon. I mean, at least being 900 years past TOS.
Yeah, I mean, this is supposed to be like disco era.
It makes it's disco era. There's no question about it.
Wicked future, because Mary Wiseman. That was the other thing everyone was talking about. They're like, Mary Wiseman left disco. We didn't see her at all the last seasons of disco. And we all thought, okay, we're going to see her in Starfleet Academy. Nope, she's only in one episode.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. The other thing, we are seeing Robert Picardo as the actual EMH doctor who is still alive, if that's a thing for someone who's digital and AI.
Still plugged in. He still has power.
Well, remember, he had, even in Voyager, he had his little thing he wore that could make him go anywhere he wanted to. The portable hollow projector thing. There was so they're trying to, of course, give you some street cred.
The only good thing that
January
15th. Interesting thing, this is coming on January 15th, but the last thing for Starfleet Academy was Stephen Colbert announced that he will be the digital dean of students. And by digital dean, like literally digital, like it'll be only his voice. But I like Stephen Colbert.
I mean, the irony is, it's like, were they throwing him a bone? Oh yeah, we're going to cancel your number one show, but you could be a voice of an AI thing.
Be the new voice, yeah.
On Starfleet Academy if you want.
But did you hear his announcement? Even his announcement was kind of like, and I'm only the voice. Like even he sounded like, guys, I could have come on the show.
I like Colbert too, and it's not enough to. We haven't aired yet. I will watch at least the first few episodes, but I am very not optimistic. I hate to be negative right out of the gate, but what I've seen so far, it's just the show that nobody wanted.
It's just more the same as far as Disco Strange New Worlds. You know what I mean? Like,
I just want to get out. I just want this whole era to be gone. Just start over again. But they have that. It's being pitched, and it's words. I don't know how serious they are, but is the kind of the not reboot of Enterprise, but kind of a sequel to Enterprise where they're going to get Bakula as president of the Federation. They've been pitching this idea.
Yeah.
I think it wouldn't be a space that with the way they're promoting it or saying it's not going to be like out in space and fighting aliens. It's going to be more like the West Wing meets
I have
Star
a quote
Trek.
I actually have a quote about that. It's supposed to be called Star Trek United. You mean the Archer thing, right? Yeah, a political series about President Archer. And it's Star Trek United is conceived as a prestigious political thriller about President Archer and his adult children, akin to Star Wars Andor. This is a pervasive concept that would push Star Trek where it's never gone before. I would be okay if they could get to Andor, Star Wars Andor levels. If they could actually hit that level.
I mentioned somebody, I think Drexler had posted it, and I basically said, the West Wing meets Star Trek, and I kind of said, yes, please. Adam Nimoy liked it, I might add, not like my comment. Adam Nimoy liked my comment. So,
I agree. I wouldn't mind a political Trek.
So I think it would be a neat change, and if they do it right, and I'd love to see Bakula back. I
would love to see Bakula back.
I think there's something there if they would, but I know Kurtzman and the other idiots at Paramount will be like, no, that's going backwards. We don't want to do that. So anyway,
it depends on the writing. It all depends on the writing. I mean,
what do you?
The other thing that came out of New York City Comic-Con for Star Trek was the audience there got to see a clip or a little brief glimpse of the Puppet episode.
Yeah.
It's directed by Jordan Canning, who directed some Fraggle Rock. The puppets in question were created by Jim Henson's Creature Shop. So does that technically make them Muppets and not puppets? I don't know.
I don't know.
But I don't know.
It doesn't make it any better.
No. I don't get this. I really don't get what Strange New Worlds is doing. Like they're
forcing these silly episodes. Like they're telling us you need to like these. These have to be in here. Like that's going to be like
I need to have your bread and butter episodes first. Give me that.
Hey, we've had this conversation ad nauseum at 10 episodes, and a lot of people are coming out. More and more producers and famous people that are saying we need more than 10 episodes of any TV show, not just all these shows are too short and
too short. You don't build up a fan base if the people can't come to know and love the characters.
And not only are they too short, there's too much time between seasons.
Yeah.
Generally, waiting a year and a half to 2 years or more in some cases, Stranger Things, we lose interest. I don't know how it's amazing that they don't get this. Like, people are going to lose interest in these shows.
Yeah.
So anyway.
All right. Anything else coming out of New York City? New York City Comic-Con, Sigourney Weaver was on a panel, and she says she's actually met with execs about a new Alien script. It is being written by Walter Hill. Walter Hill Giller, Giler, whatever. Walter and David took Dan O'Bannon. Dan O'Bannon had written this thing called Star Beast. Walter Hill took this thing and shaped it into what became Alien. So when Sigourney Weaver says, hey, I'm reading a script by Walter Hill, that gives me hope. It might, hopefully he is going to keep it, in the same
We're going to bring Ellen Ripley back again. Till you're 90.
Bring Ellen back.
Until you're 90, they're going to keep.
Until you're 90. What else came out of New York City? We got Game of Thrones spinoff, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, whoop-de-doo, sneak peek at the next season of Invincible, which is in March. First look at the season 3 of the Vampire Lestat series, which, interestingly, that show used to be called Interview with a Vampire. It was a TV show. And this season, season 3, they're like, no, we're going to change the name. Now it's the Vampire Lestat, which is weird. I cannot think of any other show straight up changing its name in the middle of its run like that.
Star Trek Enterprise did that because remember, I think with the first 2 seasons,
they didn't change their name.
No, they added Star Trek to the beginning of it. It was just when it originally aired, it was just Enterprise, not Star Trek Enterprise.
No, Star Trek Enterprise. Yeah,
and they felt people weren't getting it, so they had to add the Star Trek in front of it.
Weird. I can't think of any other show. So, guys, if you were watching Interview with a Vampire, it's no longer now. You need to go look for Vampire Lestat. Marvel dropped a teaser for Wonder Man, which, okay, whatever. Teaser for Daredevil Born Again, X-Men 97 teaser. I don't know what else is. WandaVision. They're still going to do, not WandaVision. What's the Vision spinoff? Vision Quest. Vision Quest, yeah.
Vision Quest. I thought you were talking about the witch one there, whatever.
Yeah, no, not Agatha. No, they showed some Vision Quest footage, and that's about it. A few other little odds and ends going on, but all in all, it sounds like it was a great weekend at the Javits in New York City. And why Star Trek chose this event to drop a bunch of news, I don't know. Why didn't they do it on Star Trek Day? Or I never get what they're doing. They confuse me all the time.
Chris is saying Baba Black Sheep became the Black Sheep Squadron. I think I do.
Was it ever called Baba? I think it was always called Black Sheep Squadron.
I always thought it was called Black Sheep. Yeah, I thought it was always Black Sheep. Maybe he's right. Was it Happy Days too? Used to be had a longer name and they shortened it to just Happy Days, I believe. I remember too.
Happy Days.
But it had Happy. In other words, they didn't. I think what your point is that they're changing the name entirely. Not just adding or subtracting something from the
they're really changing the name.
So I think that's what you're getting at as being different. But
yeah,
we're in a very weird period of entertainment.
Are we ever?
I think they're all grasping at straws, and I don't know who these people they hire to make these decisions because some of the stuff seems like common sense and it's not working. So. Anyway,
Bill wants to know if any of the characters in recent Star Trek were lovable. I guess they were. Some of them were
lovable. What's lovable?
What do you mean lovable, Bill? I'm going to say yes, but Rizzo reserves judgment. All right, while we're waiting for Bill to answer, Rizzo, what are we drinking tonight? Well,
it's getting harder and harder to find.
Guard our throats.
And it's certainly every time we'll do a vampire movie or werewolf, it's getting harder and harder to find unique ones. But I did find this one. It's called Dracula's Blood. I should have probably, who knows, I might have done it already for all I know. I have so many drinks at the file. But this is 2 ounces of white, pretty easy. 2 ounces of white rum, 3/4 peach schnapps, black cherry juice, 2 teaspoons of grenadine, which is just, again, more. And sorry about the dogs.
That sounds delicious. I'm very surprised you didn't find a drink with garlic in it.
I did not look for one, but there probably is one.
Probably is one. So, that looks delicious. Black cherry juice, I'm there.
I knew my wife would come home right when I'm in the middle of the show.
It's all good.
So that's the drink. So what else we got? That's it. We are all through the news. We're all through anything
we're done with the news. I'm just Chris says the thing look hard to swallow.
I think that's just garnish.
I don't think you're supposed to eat those. Although they have the wax. It's like, did you guys ever get the wax?
Remember the kids who used to get the wax one that were just basically like wax lips with fangs in them?
They tasted good. They tasted kind of minty too when you chew on them after a while.
They're just wax. I don't remember them having a particular flavor. I remember one I did go with Dracula one Halloween, and my mom couldn't find those that were in the picture, those plastic ones that you put in your mouth for the costume. So it's the only thing she could find were the stupid wax ones. And I hated it. Thought it was the worst.
You're so mad. You were like, Mom,
didn't look right.
Yes. This isn't authentic.
stupid. So, but anyway, poor mom.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm sure I gave her a lot of crap that she didn't deserve for that. Anyway, all right.
Yeah,
so moving
on.
on.
All right, let's do it. Let's talk about
vampires. I went first last time, so you're up first. So
okay.
Your number 3 pick was this Cirque du Freak, the Vampire Assistant. Now, I've never seen this, so talk.
Okay. This is a great movie. So I have chosen 3 movies tonight that all brought something new and fresh to the universe of the lore of vampires in their era, in their day when they came out. They've probably since been eclipsed or outdated, but at the moment when this thing came out, I thought it was so cute and fresh and original. It is based off a book series, Cirque du Freak book series, and it just was a really refreshing alternative. It was a little darker, a little more action oriented, but there was horror and humor, very eccentric, very quirky characters, both from the Cirque and from the vampire world. John C. Reilly, you know him best from Step Brother. You know him from a million things, but probably Step Brothers and a bunch of other stuff. The amazing John C. Reilly plays Crepsley the vampire, and he is like, he's bored, but he has wit and charm and enough menace to be frightening. And he tells the kid, he's like, all right, I'm going to turn you into a half vampire, but only half, so that you can still run around during the day and run errands for me. Stuff. And the kid's like, oh, okay. And he very nervously starts. And John C. Reilly's like, no, I'm not going to bite your neck. That's gross. I could kill you. We're just going to do it this other way. It's really funny and quirky that way. Like I said, dark humor and charm, lots of fantasy elements, great comedic timing. It has a story that has both serious moments and a lot of fun. The humor comes from the eccentric characters, and most of the eccentric characters are the entire Cirque du Freak. So you meet, they're a freak show. This vampire is hanging out with this freak show and traveling with this freak show. And you meet all of them, and they are an amazingly eclectic group of people.
What I was going to ask you, what year was this? Did this come out?
2009.
Okay.
So not really that old.
Fairly old.
Great production, great costume design, great storytelling, world building. But of course, there's great world building because it comes out of a book series. So it's kind of like just watching, if they made the whole entire Harry Potter series, they just took one of them, made a movie out of it. That's kind of what they did here. Character-driven plot. The film doesn't with so much of a cliffhanger, but with definitely an open door. They thought they were going to make more of these, but despite all of this, all these things that I'm telling you, this thing cost $40 million to make, and it raked in a whopping $40 million. So it exactly broke even. And in Hollywood, that's a failure. However, nevertheless, I strongly encourage you to check this movie out. It's light popcorn fare. It has a really fresh take on vampires. It has vampires and something called Vampanese, which is really interesting. And they have their own intricate society and their own new rituals and you know what I mean, like new, what do you call the things like vampires do this and vampires do that? Tropes, I guess tropes. So yeah, so that's my take on Cirque du Freak, the Vampire's Assistant, and it was different and original and refreshing back when I first saw it in 2009. So I recommend just check it out.
I think I remember the trailers for it. I have not ever seen it. I generally don't seek out a lot of vampire movies to begin with. It's just not my thing.
It's not my thing, but around Halloween time, they're always around.
It is Halloween time, yeah. So, maybe I'll give it a shot. Maybe I'll give it a shot one day. Bill did answer your question. He said we had said we needed more episodes to fall in love with the characters. And he's like, were any of the characters, candidates for being lovable? And I'm going to go with it.
Yeah, Strange New Worlds has some interesting characters if they would just tell them correctly. And I don't mean Spock. I mean, like, Melissa Navia's character. She could have been interesting. I was excited to hear that What's Her Bucket was playing number 1, and I wanted more of her, and I'm not getting any.
Yeah, I'm not saying any of them have reached out and said, "Oh, I love that character, the way they play it," or it's just they've all been kind of just middle of the road, you know.
Yes, Spock's been a straight up disappointment, and I
Spock
love you.
they just have no clue. We've talked about this. I don't want to derail the whole show. Yeah. They just have no clue how to write Vulcans in general, and specifically Spock.
No, but if they're gonna write any of the original characters, and that includes Spock, Uhura, Scotty, Chapel,
none of them are fitting what the original characters. None of them. None of them fit.
None of them are true to life.
It's ones that are from TOS. None of them have any connection to, in my mind. They don't feel like this, like any. Scotty would be the only one that's close, but because of the age screw up, in my opinion, it's not working.
Yeah.
So,
Bill, you can be Spock is Fonzie now. You can be cynical any day. So yeah, that's The Vampire's Assistant. I highly recommend it. It's a quirky little piece of fluff that you will enjoy and hopefully get a laugh out of. The end.
Okay. So my number 3 was From Dusk Till Dawn.
Great choice.
This is of course a Quentin Tarantino movie. It is typical Quentin Tarantino movie. It has a lot of action in it. It's got George Clooney in it. I mean, come on now. I mean, that alone. I mean, but it's got a lot of them. Juliette Lewis, Quentin Tarantino, of course, Salma Hayek is in this. Danny Trejo is in it. I mean, it just Cheech Marin's. It just keeps going. I think I already mentioned Harvey Keitel. I mean, he's pulling out like this is like going back to his well. Tom Savini. I mean, it just keep going and going and going with who's in this. So right from that John Saxon is in this movie. Yeah. Trying to think of who else. A lot of other people you might recognize. However, so you know, it's a really good. I don't know. This is a very young. What year was this? 1996. So we got a young Clooney. He's probably just fresh off of ER by this point. I'm guessing somewhere in there.
Or still on it, maybe.
Was it still on 96?
I'm not sure.
So the basic premise is, you know, we got these two guys that are criminals and they're on the run, and they end up at this bar that turns out to be a vampire bar. And it's basically
stumbling into a gay bar.
Yeah, so it's very much it's so Tarantino, because if you've seen Desperado, which is another great movie, it has a lot of that in it, which again, it goes back, he pulls a lot of the same actors in it. There's a ton of gunplay in this, if you know you're into that sort of thing. Yeah, I don't know really what else specifically to say about it other than it's a fun movie. It's definitely not for the sensitive people, if that makes any sense.
No, it was pretty violent.
Yeah, it's pretty violent, as any Tarantino movie. Language, violence. Salma Hayek probably looking her best.
Bill Rizzo, you were correct.
What's that?
You were correct.
What was I correct about?
You're season 9.
Yeah, so I figured he was just right. Yeah, because if you look at the movie, you'll see that he's just so young. I mean, he just looks, you know. I mean, of course, he's a phenomenal actor, which is why he, you know, is still making movies to this day. A lot of movies, made some great movies. But again, it is very Tarantino-esque. I mean, it's got everything in it that you would expect. I don't really know what else. Have you seen this one, Mary Beth?
You know, it has been a hot minute. You know, it has been a hot minute. I did see it once upon, probably back in the 90s. And, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like trying to conjure up some scenes in my head. And I'm like, I don't remember any of those scenes.
Yeah. So to me, it's a roller coaster like most Tarantino films. I loved Desperado, which I believe came out before this. I may be wrong. And it's a lot like that. I think Desperado's a little bit better movie. I think the action, the way it is, but it's that over the top, you know, of violence that we always come to know from Tarantino, and that kind of graphicness that he portrays his movie. But, you know, I mean, if you like Pulp Fiction, if you liked Reservoir Dogs, if you liked Desperado, you will like this movie. You know what I'm saying? It fits his typical formula.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's not just graphic and violence. There's quite a bit of nudity, if I remember, in this. So I don't know what else to say about it other than I really liked it. It's certainly
Does it
not
hold up? I haven't seen it since
I
whatever.
I did not rewatch it. I didn't have time to rewatch any of these movies. But does it hold? It probably holds up as well as any of his movies of that. Like I said, Desperado. I can still watch Desperado. It's still good. The one with Antonio Banderas. Have you seen that one? I assume.
Yes. No, yeah. Desperado? No, I've not
Desperado is another great one. So it's that one's got, again, a great cast. It's Steve Buscemi. It's got, of course,
Steve Buscemi's awesome.
Cheech Marin is in that one as well.
Yeah, Bill, tell Mary that I too am right with her. I'm not big on certain, like I have a violence line limit, and then I'm like, okay, we're done with the violence today.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily for everyone. If you like that genre, like I said, if you like Desperado, if you liked Pulp Fiction, you know, that kind of thing. Pulp Fiction, of course, was his masterpiece. I mean, the quote of, I always say Pulp Fiction wasn't about the story. It was just about the dialogue. You know, this movie isn't really, it has some really good lines and stuff in it. I'm not saying that, but I think it's well written, but it's not about the dialogue. Like, because he kind of did the same thing when he did Reservoir Dogs, which predated Pulp Fiction. If you watch that, that's all about the interactions between people, not so much.
You like to watch people shooting each other. May I recommend Quentin Tarantino?
Yeah. There's always that they were always doing that tease that he was going to do a Star Trek film.
Yeah.
Did you imagine?
And it was like going to be a shoot 'em up too. I mean,
a Tarantino Star Trek film would have been, I don't know, it would have been all phasers and torpedoes.
It would have been all phasers and maybe space battles.
Yeah, I just don't see him as the right director for that.
I don't even think he would know what to do with a space battle. I think he likes the personal stuff, like the one-on-one. I'm going to shoot.
Yeah, he's good at gun battles and that kind of thing. And again, it's there's in this movie, just like in Desperado, there's a lot of suspension of disbelief in the physics of things. You know, the way people are being slaughtered, so to speak. But anyway, we'll move on since for your next one.
My number 2.
Your number 2.
My number 2.
The Lost Boys, Kiefer Sutherland.
All right, going back to the 80s, kids.
And I again I don't think I've seen this since the 80s.
Yeah, you know, I got to be honest. I rewatched my number 3 and I rewatched my number 1. I didn't have time to rewatch this. Okay, so I said all of my films were bringing something new, where Cirque du Freak brought dark fantasy combined with comedy. The Lost Boys brings us that 80s vibe plus like mix in The Outsiders and mix in like the look at the hair and the leather jackets. This for 1980s teenage girls was, believe it or not, kids, sexy. So here we brought in the sexy vampire. So yeah, like I said, this thing has a distinct 80s vibe. It has a killer soundtrack. When they vamp out, and it introduced the phrase vamp out, which then got picked up by Buffy and got used throughout, both in the movie but also in the TV series Buffy the Vampire Slayer, vamp out. With these guys, the design on the vampires was like next level when they vamp out. But it does have some comedy in it, but it has a lot more scare because it really is a true horror. But then they wove in these weird, like not weird, I shouldn't say weird, but they like the least expected coming of age themes. And it was a lot like The Outsiders. Like it was teenage boys trying to find their place in society, which is pretty interesting. Yeah. Had a memorable cast. It captures the whole look and feel of the 80s and like what was going on then. This cast was stylish and cool, but they were dangerous vampires. And so that was somehow alluring. Like the danger was alluring. And it stands out. The soundtrack is considered one of the best in film history. I can still hear some of this. Like some of those tracks are still played today. including especially People Estranged by the Doors, which is a really great track. It introduces this cool new vampire, like I said, that was sexy. But this went on to influence how vampires were portrayed later, including movies like Twilight. So it kind of introduced a whole new, the hot, sexy teenage boy vampire. This is not Lestat or What We Do in Shadows. It is not the Victorian era style. These guys were modern vampires. So yeah, I mean, it just kind of changed the game for everything right there in the middle of 1987.
You're right. It is very 1980s movie. It does still have that. There's no question about when it was made. I do agree. I think you're right. It is kind of the forebearer of a lot of things like Twilight and stuff like that, because it has a lot of very similar feel to it. Now, granted, I've never seen the Twilight films, but I know I've seen enough bits and pieces to get it. So yeah, I do remember it having a good soundtrack. I think I remember the scene where they're hanging off the bridge.
Yeah, they're hanging off the bridge and they
just let go and they go into the fog. And
Yep.
I remember that was kind of a before they really knew. I guess the time before he knew they were vampires or something, if I remember the movie correctly.
Yeah, it's right when they were first meeting them. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember it was very popular. I think it did very well, if I'm not mistaken.
It was like the first. Yeah, it did really well. It's still kind of a cult classic sort of today. It was one of the first movies I ever met Kiefer Sutherland. I knew who Donald Sutherland was.
If I'm not mistaken, did they make a sequel to this?
Yes, there were a couple of sequels that did not do well. It was our first time I ever saw Jamie Gertz before she was in Twister going cow. But like this, like when you look at Buffy at Spike and Angel, or Angel in his spinoff, you can see where this is the influence, because they are cool vampires. They wear leather jackets. They're very modern. They've got they don't have the widow's peak kind of classic.
Right. They're not
like cool teenage guys. They've got cool
Universal
hair. They use gel.
Yeah, I think we started getting away from that probably in the 80s. I think from the standard Dracula in a tuxedo kind of thing with a cape, and the red eyes and the widow's peak,
and turning into a bat and stuff.
That kind of thing.
Which is a hilarious moment back in Cirque to freak the kids. Like he gets turned into a half man. He's like, "Okay, can I turn into a bat now?" And John C. Reilly's like, "No, that's bullshit." It's just a really funny moment. Back to Cirque. But anyway, back to Lost Boys. Yes, Chris LaRoche. This is another one that blends horror and comedy. Lots more horror than comedy, but the one thing is the grandfathers at the end of the movie, because they've just moved to a new town, and the grandfather's like, the one thing I can't stand here is all the damn vampires. It's like, what you knew about vampires? Why didn't you tell us? But yeah, it was like a high water moment for vampires and teenagers right in the middle of 1987 when I was a sophomore in high school.
Right. Yeah, is that what 87? Yeah, so I was in college by then, but
yeah,
did I see this in the theater? I want to say I didn't. I want to say I saw it must have been on the good old VHS afterwards. I know
it was on HBO for.
Yeah. I probably saw it on something like that. So
it's on Rewind on cable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it hold up pretty well? I don't know. I haven't seen it. I bet it's still pretty entertaining.
I mean, it probably does, as long as you know the genre. It probably holds up as well as a movie like anything else that came around the same time, like Highlander or something like that. That's clearly, RoboCop. And it came out in the same time period. It held about the same. No cell phones, no, the little things that you notice that are missing.
Yeah, all those little things. It is the 80s. Some of the special effects the visual effects may look a little dated now. I really should go back and watch this again just to remember. Just for the nostalgia of it.
Okay, moving on. So that was your number 2.
That was my number 2.
So my number 2 is Underworld. For no other reason than Kate Beckinsale in tight leather outfit, vinyl, whatever.
And we did this movie. We did
do this movie. I like this movie. I like this take on vampires. I think it's kind of, I felt it was a bit of a fresh take on vampires, in the sense that again, they're not just one or two. There's a whole society of them, and they basically are very powerful, not only being supernaturally powerful, but they are very wealthy because they've been living so long. So they have basically this entire underworld society of vampires controlling things. But humans are aware of them, at least at the secret government level, because they're really developing weapons and things. But they're to fight them. But they have the interesting part, I think, what they did with this film was they took that connection. We were talking about this before the show started, the connection that vampires seem to have to werewolves.
Yes.
And again, I don't know where that started. I know it goes all the way back to the Bela Lugosi era of Dracula, of being able to control the werewolf, or wolves in general. I don't know where that lore eventually really started, but they took it that basically as that werewolves and vampires are always at war at some level. When this movie starts, there's kind of a I don't want to say a détente, but there's basically a kind of a truce.
Well,
and
the vampires were sleeping or something, weren't they?
Well, some of them were. So what in this movie, some of the really old vampires, what they'll do is they'll jump times. They'll go to sleep for 100 years,
like hibernate or
200 years, and they swap. Yeah, and then some other ones will go to sleep, and then the other ones. And but the thing is that so there was a time, but the werewolves again are kind of active again, and they're going to have basically it turns into another war. And then through the series, because there's multiple movies, we find out what actually happened and why the werewolves are pissed at the vampires. I think we do find out in this one. And
they make peace with it.
Yeah, so there's a character though that apparently is like the missing link, and he's he bridges the gap between vampires and werewolves, and he's kind of a hybrid of both because he ends up being bitten.
Yeah, that's right. He's a hybrid
of both. By both, and he ends up being this like hybrid werewolf vampire super dude. But it's a lot of action. The movie, the story moves along very quickly.
Yes.
And it did well enough that there's at least 2 or 3 sequels.
Yeah.
I think after this
is such a great choice. I mean, you're right. There's so much great action. It's a great horror action hybrid. It's moody as hell. Like every shot is dark gray and dark blue and raining. You know what I mean? It's got that moody city at night in the rain.
Yep.
To every single scene, even when they're inside, it's dark and raining.
I don't think there's any daylight scenes. If there are, they're very few and they're very brief. But there's a lot of fighting, and then of course Celine, who's Kate's character, she's like an enforcer, so she basically goes out and hunts these werewolves. That's her job, and then realize that there's something funny going on, rotten in Denmark, as it were. And that she finds out that her own people were kind of instigating some of the problems that they were having with the werewolves and trying to wipe them out and all that stuff. So it's a pretty good story, really. I just like the take on it as far as the vampire lore goes. It's not your typical vampire movie where you have the one vampire that's kind of terrorizing a town, that kind of thing. So some interesting weapons they developed. The humans develop weapons that basically are in like light bombs or something. They shoot people, and of course the vampires have bullets that shoot silver, like a liquid silver or something in them.
Yes,
kills werewolves. So it's got some really interesting stuff like that. Like I said, the gunplay is great. I think the story is okay, and like Kate Beckinsale's not hard to look at. So there's that.
And she did pretty good too.
So
that's a great choice.
That's really all I had to say. I do like this movie. I did like the sequels. Like I said, I think it's probably up there, except for my next, which is my number one, which would probably be my next, which we'll get there. So yeah, that's really how the thoughts I have on that. Chris LaRoche is saying, so I guess he's referring to the werewolf vampire connection. It's in the Dracula novel. Okay.
Yeah, Chris, we were talking about how many vampire movies have werewolves. It's like automatic. Oh, tell a vampire story. We're gonna have to include the werewolves. Okay. Yep.
Well, like Bela Lugosi, he would control them. Like he controlled the werewolf, the wolf man. You know what I'm saying? He could do more than he did than just when he mesmerized humans, kind of thing. So anyway, all right, moving on. You're number one now.
What's my number one?
You're number one.
Numero uno.
Bram Stoker's Dracula. I had this definitely on my honorable mention list for me. So it is a great
and Underworld was on my honorable mention. So, yeah.
So this goes back. What year was this now? This is
1990. Right? I wrote it down. 1992.
92? Is it that old?
Yes. Can you believe it? It is that old.
I do remember this had a lot of hype around it when it came out.
It was much discussed really when it came out.
My favorite part of this movie is Gary Oldman. As he is in about every movie that he's in, Gary Oldman's my favorite.
I rewatched it and I was like, "Oh my god, baby Gary!" Because he looks so young.
Yeah, he's very young, of course. Yeah, he's young in this. What was the movie he did with Natalie Portman? That was great. She was very, very young. She was a child. But she was like
I don't know, but she was in that the Marksman, or who was the guy that shot the French guy, the French star.
Yes, that's the movie I'm talking about. Yeah, Gary Oldman is in this as he's the bad guy. He's just a phenomenal actor. Just a phenomenal actor.
And she's the kid, and he's the
he's the sniper. Assassin or the I forget. Somebody will know.
Whatever. I'll think of it. All right. Yeah. Let me do my spiel on
do your spiel.
Bram Stoker here. So where my first movie brought us dark, quirky fantasy, and my second movie brought us 1980s sexy, whatever, just sex. Mostly it just brought us sex. This thing brought us romanticism and psychology. This was a weird little expressionistic movie. So Bram Stoker's Dracula, widely acclaimed for it being lush and operatic and artistic. It's not a conventional horror film. It's really not all that horrible. It's not super, super scary, but it is ambitious and it's visually stunning and it's romantic. And what's his bucket? What's his bucket? The director, whose name I know, Francis Ford Coppola, was like, I want to bring back the original novels kind of evoked psychologically. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. He made the deliberate choice to use only in-camera and practical effects with almost no, and it was 92, so computer stuff would have been in its infancy, but it was there. But he did all in-camera, which is great because it's a really nice nod back to both the Hammer films and the original Dracula.
It had a very Hammer film feel to it.
It did, and yet it was so much more. There's a lot of
it was way more advanced, so to speak, than that. But it did have the vibe.
But and the costumes were amazing. The production design was incredible. The way they designed Gary Oldman as Dracula, you see him in a couple different incarnations as very, very old and as a young man. He looks stunning in all of them. And they completely redesigned Dracula because you think, okay, they're going to do a nod back to the early Dracula. They'll go back to the cape and the widow's peak. Nope. This was the old Dracula, had gray hair that was like piled up and curled on his head and all kinds of weird.
Like, you got to remember,
weird.
The Widow's Peak and that was Universal.
Yeah, that was Universal.
That really didn't come out of the novels, from my knowledge. That was just the way Universal had portrayed him as Count Dracula.
Yes.
It didn't surprise me that they didn't go that route. I'm glad they didn't. This also has Keanu Reeves, a very young Keanu Reeves.
It has a very young Keanu, and it has Winona. She does amazing in it. She's gorgeous in it.
Winona Ryder.
But so it balances the central themes of like romance, but then there's menace and this horror. The music is amazing. The leitmotifs and the themes are absolutely amazing running through this thing. People argue that Gary Oldman is the definitive Dracula, maybe, with some of these looks and the way he acts and the way like he's suave but sinister at the same time. And he's both a monster, but then he's this tragic romantic. And that's the part that and then some of the other actors like Anthony Hopkins, amazing. Sadie Frost as Lucy, Tom Waits as Renfield, absolutely amazing. Oh, and we've got Van Helsing. We've got Anthony Hopkins as Van Helsing. It's absolutely incredible. But he focuses on this romantic tragedy. He focuses on the emphasis that this is this doomed tragic love story between Dracula and Mina, which is really interesting. Yeah, it's
if I'm not mistaken, if this is the thing you're remembering correctly, they do also go back to the history with Vlad the Impaler, and
yes. They
and
give
how
him a
he
history.
Basically becomes a vampire.
Yes,
and he becomes the
they
first.
Give him a history.
Vampire.
His wife dies, and he's angry, and he curses God, and he stabs a giant crucifix, and it starts bleeding, and that's how he's doomed to become a vampire. He's angry. They sent him out to war to fight, and he wins. He beats the baddies, but the baddies have a trick, and they shoot a message back to his wife. They're like, "Oh, we killed him. He's dead." And so it's like Romeo and Juliet, right? She's like, "Oh, he's dead." So she kills herself. So he comes home all victorious, like, I won. And he comes in and his wife's dead. And he's like, oh, well, fuck God. Let me just kill this crucifix real quick. But yeah, it is, he's immortal. There's this unrequited love. It's a well-known horror story, but he turns it, Francis Ford Coppola somehow turned it into this emotional melodrama. Like, it is a completely different take on Dracula, which is why I included it in my number one spot for Draculas that are different from all the Draculas that came before them.
It is worthy of it. It kind of reminds me of, like, basically, the original Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which was really the monster building part was almost a side story.
It was,
what I'm saying? And then Universal took it and created,
and made it about a monster, because that's
people call it Frankenstein, but it's Frankenstein's monster.
Yes.
As we know, Frankenstein was
which is another psychological study. Like, she's also discussing society of the day.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Are you ready for my numero uno? If you haven't figured it out by my, and I know it's not a movie because we did the movie, because there is a movie.
It is a movie, but
this is What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show. I think this is one of the funniest shows that we've seen in the last couple decade or so or more. It's very clever. I think it's very smart in a lot of ways. It's silly. It puts vampires in kind of a very silly light, obviously, that they live forever. Of course, these vampires are kind of just stagnating on Staten Island, of all places. They're just kind of like this, run of the mill part of New York. Very, very just people just live there. There's nothing really special about Staten Island. And then, of course, the funnier part, of course, is the fellow that's down there on the lower left is Colin. He's not a regular vampire. He's an energy vampire.
No, he's an emotional vampire.
Yeah, he's an energy vampire. So he basically
vampire.
He just talks to you till you're so bored because he's
that person that walks up to your desk at your office and won't shut up and won't leave.
Yeah. You probably have one. So there's a whole storyline with him, and of course he meets another energy vampire, and they're both going. Trying to, and of course, on the lower right we have Guillermo, who is Nandor's familiar, and he wants to be a vampire desperately, but he's been working. When the show starts, he's been working for Nandor for 10 years already, and he hasn't. And of course, Nandor just takes advantage of him. And yeah, I mean that's kind of the base. Of course, the funnier is what I can't think of his name, Laszlo.
Yeah, Laszlo and Nadia.
Which is Matt Berry, which if you've heard his voice, his voice is very popular. He's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
But his character alone is hysterical. He's kind of an inventor. So he always comes up with this, and then he does like his hobby is making topiary that looks like famous people's vaginas.
Yeah.
I know it's a little crass, but it's really cool.
You don't have to see any of them.
No, you don't really see it. I mean, it's a topiary. It's made out of a bush. Ha.
It's a bush.
I think, but some of the funniest scenes. I mean, when they get the the count, the higher level.
Yeah, Doug Jones, who we know from
played by Doug Jones, and Guillermo accidentally kills him and burns him up. Opens the door when it's daylight. And then there's a scene where I don't know how they get there, but they raise him up, but he's just a burnt corpse.
Yeah,
he's just a burnt corpse, and
he slowly is coming back.
But there's a scene where they're looking for somebody, and they're in a toy store, and like it's closed at night, of course. And all of a sudden, here comes the Count, all this burnt corpse, but he's in one of those little kids' Power Wheels cars, and he's driving around. I mean, it's just, I don't know why I find it hysterical. Maybe you don't.
It's hilarious. It's like, and I don't know if they redid some of the gags in the show from the TV, but they're like, of course we steal clothing from our victims because sometimes you're biting someone and then all of a sudden you're like, oh hey, those are really cool pants.
It's kind of cute, right?
Steal their pants.
So
all the funny quotes are from this show.
This show, of course, has finished its run. I think it went 5 or 6 seasons.
5 or 6, yeah.
Of about 13 episodes per season. It's on FX, which I believe is Hulu. You can get it on Hulu. I recommend it. It's a bit of a slow startup, so don't watch the first episode. Oh, it's not very funny. I'm not watching it. Give it like 2 or 3 episodes before you decide. I think it's funny. I think it's one of the best vampire movies, film, or should be shows that I've watched in a very long time. Just because I love the take on it, that they're not really scary. Obviously, they're just silly and kind of pathetic in some ways.
Yeah, they're just struggling with life in New York City in the 2000s.
So we got 8 minutes to rip through our honorable mentions. So our first honorable mention is, of course, the original 1931 Dracula with Bela Lugosi. This kind of was, of course, what started the vampire craze, I think, in a lot of ways, as far as the Universal monsters. Of course, they came with Frankenstein and the Mummy and the Wolfman. So we got all those classic, what we call the classic Universal monsters. But we have to give it to Bela and the original Dracula for that starting it out. Really,
yeah. All hail Bela.
So, I mean, we wouldn't be probably talking about it if they weren't making these. Why vampires are so popular? Somebody I'm sure has written studies on it. Like, I don't know why. And
there's tons of psychology and sexuality behind vampires.
Sure. I think for a lot of people, it's an escape of their regular lives that may be something more interesting. So, so that's one. Now, these aren't, by the way, in any particular order.
In no particular order.
So our next honorable mention is Interview with the Vampire. Again, this is this was a really great film, of course, based on Mary Anne Rice. Anne Rice, right? Anne Rice.
Yeah. Tom Cruise,
and of course it has the cast is amazing in this as well. Because
Kirsten Dunst, Tom Cruise,
Kirsten Dunst alone. It's funny because when I saw this movie and I said, she's going to grow up to be, that kid's going to be up, not only be a good actor, she's going to end up being a beautiful girl. You could just tell, even when she was that young, and I was right. So, but yeah, she was really, considering how young she was really a good actress.
And that was a tough role.
You got because you got Brad Pitt, of course, and Christian Slater and Tom Cruise. You got some big names right there off the top in this film. But it's a very popular book, of course, and it was a very popular film. I believe it did very well. If I'm not mistaken.
Anne has a number of books, and like I just mentioned in the news section, this is also a TV show. But only the first 2 seasons are called Interview with the Vampire. The name has now changed to The Vampire Lestat.
Okay. So I think this is their last one. Oh, no. Nosferatu, of course. This really goes back to 1922.
This is it. This is the granddaddy.
This is the granddaddy. This is the very first. And, of course, it's very acclaimed. They did try to remake this in a modern way, and I don't think.
Yeah, they've tried to make it a couple times. I keep meaning to watch it, but I never do.
But the vampire they did, considering in 1922, he's pretty scary.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fighting. So I mean, but it is again the original vampire film. And we had to mention it just because, again, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this one. So. I did throw in Van Helsing. This is again just a fun movie. It's kind of a fun take on the Universal monsters, if you will, because it's pretty much got all of them except the Mummy in there. I think it might even have the Invisible Man in this. Maybe not. No, but we have the werewolf. We have a vampire. It's a weird take. We have a weird. We have Frankenstein's monster, and then of course Kate's in it again.
Kate Beckinsale again. Hugh Jackman's awesome as at everything.
So it's kind of an interesting take. He plays Van Helsing, of course. And we did do this movie, I believe, a couple of years ago around Halloween. It's a fun movie. It's very action packed.
Yes.
But it is not by any means a quintessential storyline as far as, it's just an interesting, again, take on the lore.
Yeah.
And I think this is the last one, which was I put in Blade, of course, from the comics. I like the original movie. Even the sequels weren't bad. I think, Wesley Snipes, I think it was born to play Blade. And I'm so glad that they brought him back, even though he said he wouldn't do it. They brought him back in Wolverine, Deadpool.
Yep.
And I think they've had rumblings that they were going to reboot this character, this franchise, but I don't know who would play it better than Wesley. I don't know. We'd have to see. I don't know if it needs to be. It's still
I don't think it needs
modern enough that it doesn't need a remake. Maybe I don't know.
Do you have another one, or was this your last honorable mention?
This was the last one.
Okay. I have a long honorable mention, but some of them are repeats. So I also agree with What We Do in Shadows and Dark Shadows. Also for television, I am going to throw True Blood in there because, oh my God, that thing had a chokehold on us when that thing aired. Everyone was watching True Blood. I'm going to add Buffy and Angel.
Yeah.
Because those were amazing.
Sure. The interesting thing with True Blood, you're right. It was a very steep, high, fast. It was like it would seem like everybody was watching it. It was the hottest thing on HBO at the time. I watched the whole series. And then when it ended, it was like disappeared.
Yeah.
Like it just you almost like it never happened.
It never happened. Most most movie stuff, there's like Comic-Con, like those actors will milk it and they'll be at the Comic-Con.
It's like I'm saying, it's just like it's like disappeared. It's like what happened? Like nobody talks about True Blood.
Some TV shows have their
and that was based. I want to say that was based either on a comic or a novel or something. That wasn't.
I don't know what it was based on.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was because basically the premise was that vampires came out into the open because the Japanese invented artificial blood that they could drink.
Yeah, the artificial blood.
Drinking humans, they could pop the soda or whatever.
So they had nightclubs and stuff. And again, here we go. It's from Lost Boys. It's the sexy vampire, and these vampires were sexy.
If you are a person that is sensitive to strong sexual themes, you may not want to watch.
You may not want this. This is also the show that Vampire Pam taught me a word that I use all the time that is politically incorrect, but I don't care. Fucktarded. I use that sometimes. So great. All right, back to my honorable mentions. I also had Van Helsing. I had Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
That is a good one. It's funny you mentioned that because I laughed when I saw the title of that. And then I watched it and I thought, this actually isn't a bad movie.
No, it's not. It's not a bad movie. It's dopey setup, but it's a fun movie. Yeah. I had Underworld, which you already did. I had Renfield, the recent one with Nick Cage, it was funny. It was cute. I also had Blade, Nosferatu, Vampire Hunter D, and then there's the goofy ones like Dead and Loving It, Fright Night, Let the Right One In, Dusk Till Dawn, which you had on your list, Ultraviolet, Once Bitten, Salem's Lot, which Bill was just asking about.
We should have mentioned that, especially the 1970 TV version, which was really good and very scary.
Yes.
Salem's Lot was really scary for a television movie or series. I think it was it a movie or was it a? No, I guess it was a movie. It wasn't a mini series. Yeah. They did do a mini series on it, I think, eventually, but it was a more modern version. Who was in that originally was what's his name from Starsky and Hutch? David Soul. David Soul was in that one.
Oh, David Soul.
Who's also, as you know, was in a Star Trek original series episode.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. He was one of the white-haired guys.
Yep.
Yeah. And please note, all of you, that neither Rizzo nor I mentioned Twilight.
No, it's not. Again, this is what we like. Other people I'm sure
what
would
you like
have
is your business, and I'm not going to
different
judge you.
opinion on.
You watch those vampire and that's another movie that has like both vampires and werewolves perpetually in it together, perpetually tidy, like salt and pepper. They just go together.
So did True Blood. You remember?
Oh yes. True
Blood had the mix of werewolves.
True Blood had all kinds of stuff, fairies and all kinds.
Yeah, there was all kinds of. It got really weird. That's the thing.
Although my first pick, Cirque, has all kinds of weird stuff too. So
yeah. So all right. Well, look, it's 8 o'clock already. Who knew? Next
Phil
week,
and Roy.
Next week we're gonna do the same thing, but we're gonna do it with an alien movie. Alien has to be seen. Alien has to be seen in the movie, not just spaceship.
Yes, you have to actually see an alien, a creature.
That's our criteria. Beyond that, wide open. So, what's Roy got going on?
Roy, let me do Phil. Phil says regular show for him on Thursday. He's preempted by hockey Friday night, so he won't be on until 10:30. And if it doesn't rain on Sunday, he will be vending at Creekside Flea Market in Middleburg, New York. Everyone go out and check him out there. Roy, this Friday, tomorrow's Thursday, the day after tomorrow, Friday, October 17th at 7 p.m., he is doing Ghost Story from 1981. This is a supernatural horror film based on the 1979 novel of the same name. It stars, interestingly, in 1981. It stars Fred Astaire, Melvin Douglas, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., John Houseman, and Alice Krige. So I should probably check that movie out. It sounds interesting.
Okay. And then so we did, by the way, we are going to do our Halloween special with Roy and Ross.
And Chris LaRoche, guess what movie we're doing?
They're coming over to our show. And yes, Chris LaRoche, you'll be happy to know that we decided to do Monster Squad. So we are going to do that as our thing. And of course, we will all
be in costume.
We'll be in costume. I have no idea what I'm going to wear.
As per usual.
I'm usually not the greatest at costumes anyway. So, but I'll come up with something as I always do. So that'll round out October. I don't know what November holds. November's going to be a very, again, we got Shatner.
November's going to be a hot mess.
Yeah, we got Shatner, Thanksgiving, and then I'm gone for several weeks after that. So we might not do much until from early November and until into mid-December. There might be a bit of a break.
Then we'll suddenly pop back up for Christmas.
Yeah. So anyway, on that note, I will say good night. Live long and prosper. And may the force be with you always. Good night.
Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.
Make sure you wear a scarf at night.
And garlic. And a crucifix.
There you go. Good night.
Okay.